boxers, trainers, fight fans, and eaters of the bags of donuts. This is the No Decision Podcast. Today, we are going to go through a 4 round sweep. Heavyweights, mental issues, and a fight that shouldn't be made but was made anyway.
Mm.
So, from top to bottom, Ruiz Arreola, Parker Chisora, Ryan Garcia pulling out of his fight with Javier Fortuna, and Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. Let's get it going. First up, we got the two big boys, Andy Ruiz Jr., Chris Arreola, 12 rounds, heavyweight, WBA, title eliminator, Dignity Health Sports Park, Carson, California, Fox PBC. Both guys coming off losses. Arreola was knocked out by Adam Kalnachki, and I think he fought Deontay Wilder and got his lights taken out a few years back. Andy Ruiz coming off that big loss against Anthony Joshua, giving all those titles back. This is what happens when you party too much, when you pull a Roberto Duran. But both guys seem to be well poised to take this fight. Arreola was very trim, looked like a football player. Andy Ruiz went to San Diego, got coached up by Eddie Reynoso.
Yes, sir.
Dropped from 300 to 257. The pictures look nice. Getting there in the ring, I mean, it's a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
But the pictures really got me there, not gonna lie. AJR had me in the first half, not gonna lie. But I don't care. It doesn't matter. Those two fought. Those two put on a great show. Ruiz actually got knocked down in the second round and wobbled in the third.
Yep.
But somehow, some way, that Eddie Reynoso coaching, that mid-fight adjustment, Ruiz went back to his old style of brawling and being a little more smart. As a result, he pretty much won the rest of the fight.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty close. There were some rounds that you could have given to Cristobal Arreola. I actually gave Arreola 2, 3, 5, and 11.
Oh, wow.
So, but the score didn't really reflect that, obviously.
Right.
118, 110. And I think the other one was like 119, 109.
Yeah, it was.
All in the favor of Andy Ruiz.
Right.
And of course, I didn't agree with that score. I thought it was a little too lopsided. I don't want to go back into the well of criticizing judging, but I will say I think the biggest highlight outside of knocking down AJ Ruiz and wobbling him in the third round, Cristobal Arreola said, "You all can SMD in the post-fight conference in the ring," which I thought was pretty hilarious. Nonetheless, Ruiz wins a UD, gets the WBA Eliminator winner tag, and is still in the running to fight for a world title.
Yeah.
So congrats to him.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a very interesting fight. I thought, going back to what you said first, I did kind of surprise me that Ruiz, he looked quite slim in the weigh-in, and then of course, like, he had to gain all that weight back, and I don't think any heavyweight has had to go through this massive transformation that Ruiz has had. I remember, I think he weighed like 320 at one point, and then now he's slimmed down to 280. That's a massive difference, especially for a heavyweight, right? I mean, heavyweight fighters generally don't need to cut weight because there is no ceiling that they have to fight in, or there's no bottom that they have to fight in.
Well, there is a floor.
Well, yes, there is a bottom. My bad. But I'm saying, when you're in Ruiz's shoes, there really is no bottom that you can. I don't think Ruiz is built to go under 200 pounds. But I think, yeah, I wasn't shocked to see him put on a little bit more weight during the fight. I think he probably felt that he needed a little bit more power against Arreola, right? Because Arreola, he was gonna come in at like what 260, 270 for sure. Like, he was gonna be.
Well, he weighed in at 225, believe it or not.
Damn. Okay. Wow.
And Ruiz weighed in at 256, 257. But what I was trying to say is that, yeah, the Instagram pics for Ruiz look nice, but in the ring, It didn't look like the Instagram pic, so that's what I meant by he had me in the
Yeah, yeah,
first half. Not gonna lie.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. There was still some soft parts to his abdomen, right? I mean, of course, but yeah, I think he's gonna trim. He's gonna cut down a little bit more. I could see Andy Ruiz being this kind of sleek fighter. I don't know how sleek he wants to be. I don't know. This is probably Eddie Reynoso's first heavyweight fighter that he's had to train. But yeah, right from the start, right? Like Areola pretty much knocked down Ruiz was a pretty big shock to me. But Ruiz kind of had it coming because he just wanted to trade with Areola at the beginning. I thought that was a massive mistake. Um, because I mean Areola, you know, of course he's a brawler as well, but of course he got caught, and then like you said, he got hurt in the third round. But Andy Ruiz started pumping that jab after the third round, and like you said, Wes, I actually give him pretty much all the rounds after the third round. I thought it was a Ruiz landslide. I thought the judges were pretty fair in their judging. I do agree that there are some rounds where you could have given it to Areola. Maybe I cut. I mean, I think I gave him the ninth round, like what you said.
I said 2, 3, 5, and 11.
5 and 11. Okay, yeah, I definitely the 11. I think the 11 was probably his best, right? Because then Areola was just like he was fighting for. He knew that I think his corner knew that he was down in the scorecards, and he needed to. Of course, he was also kind of maintaining that shoulder injury at that point, so he really had nothing to lose. But yeah, I think it was a pretty good fight. I don't know about running it back though.
No.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm sorry, Areola, but there's a lot more opportunities for Andy Ruiz right now. And so yeah, who knows? We'll see.
Absolutely. And before we move on, I want to say that that card was very, very good.
It's pretty good.
Um, I think the biggest highlight was Landi Lara knocking out his guy in the first round, and that was a regular title fight. I think it was the WBA
The middleweight, yeah.
middleweight. And now, given Landi Lara's history, you might think that he's gonna start trying to call out Charlos or
Yeah.
Triple G, Canelo Alvarez.
Hey, I mean, yeah, yeah, I agree, right? He kind of did steal the show early on, kind of set the crowd up for something special, and so yeah, I can't believe it. You know, Arizona. I knew Arizona Lara was still fighting, but he looked incredible.
Yeah, I when I saw like that card, right, I was like, oh man, it's a very, very stacked card.
It is,
A lot
yeah.
of title fights, a lot of fighters that I'm familiar with. Actually, when I was watching it with my dad, he was pretty excited. My dad, was pretty excited for Sebastian Fundora,
Yeah.
6'6" boogeyman. Holy cow! Like, dang man, like the guy is good. And Ramos,
Ramos.
who fought way earlier in the card.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, dang, like,
Hey,
yeah, it was very good. I mean, I
well
can't
done. Well done, PBC.
I can't blame BBC, man. Like,
Yeah.
PBC had it,
Yeah.
and yeah, man, holy cow. But hey, uh, that was good. That was good. So shout out to Andy Ruiz. Let's see if he gets another title fight with an Anthony Joshua or a Tyson Fury. You know, either one of those two. Of course, probably one of the more logical matchups to make is Deontay Wilder.
Wilder. Yes, sir.
But of course, I think Deontay needs a tune-up fight before he can fight another
Right.
name brand fighter in that division.
I also heard, it might be possible for a Ruiz Chisora. So more on that a
Sure.
little bit later. So yeah, we'll see.
Sure. We're gonna call a quick timeout here. When we come back, we will talk about Joseph Parker and Derek Chisora and their fight across the pond. We'll be right back. Boxers, trainers, fight fans, welcome back to the No Decision podcast. We are now going to dive into the fight that took place across the pond last night or yesterday afternoon in our time, Central Time, US and Canada. And that is the Joseph Parker versus Derek Chisora fight. Now, this was held over the zone, Manchester, England. Both guys, no stranger to the European circuit, heavyweights. These guys have been going at it for the past few months. Surprising that Chisora decided to take a fight 6 months after he got dinged by Alexander Usyk and against a guy that's very game in Joseph Parker.
Yeah.
And this fight was fireworks. If ESPN Classics was still a thing, this would be it. And much like his Mexican counterpart, Joseph Parker got knocked down early, but this time it was in the first round compared to the second of Andy Ruiz. But he somehow managed to weather the storm, and it was a back and forth fight. And at the end, it was a split decision victory for Joseph Parker. Derek Chisora couldn't believe it. Joseph Parker's team wanted to take this fight as a statement fight to say, Derek Chisora, you're done. But War does not believe in retiring at this point in time. You know, especially after a fight like that, it goes to show that he still has a little bit of form and is still willing to go to war with somebody. But man, that was a very good fight across the pond. It was a very early day at the office, but it was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. We spoke about this, Wes, off camera, but this was a very tough fight for me to judge. Because usually a lot of the fights that I look at, there's clearly a boxer and there's clearly a brawler, right? And usually, it's usually the guy who imposes his will a little bit more. These two guys just were like, I don't know. It was confusing because at one point Parker started becoming the boxer, started to use his reach a little bit, using his jab, utilizing his jab, getting some pretty good angles on Chisora. But then there was times where Parker would just fall into the trap and start trading with Chisora on the inside. But yeah, it was a really good fight. Props to Parker for getting up. I know at first it was a little bit confusing whether it was a knockdown, but it was right. There was a punch thrown. Unfortunately, it was really tough. It was really tough. I could have probably seen it as a draw a little bit more than a win. But that's why we have 3 judges, right? And so split decision to Parker. And keep in mind, right? This is Chisora is 40, I believe. This was Parker
37.
wanted to. Right. Okay. There you go. So, I mean, yeah. That's the thing, right? I mean, Parker is trying to kind of prove himself, right, as a heavyweight fighter, and Chisora, like you said, coming off of that loss from Usyk. So yeah, I think this is as opposed to Ruiz Areola. I think Parker and Chisora are at a standstill at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're in the running to fight
right
Joshua or Fury or Ruiz or Parker, or maybe Chisora, maybe because of his name and who they fought or who he's fought against. But
right.
I mean, the same could be made for Joseph Parker, right? Joseph Parker has fought Anthony Joshua,
right?
While Chisora has fought, I think, both. Or no, that's Dillian White. Whoops.
Yeah, that's
Chisora is the one that fought. Chisora is the one that has fought Tyson Fury.
I could see either one of these guys. Well, okay. Actually,
why doesn't JP fight Deontay Wilder?
Oh well, right. I mean, that's the thing, right? We'll see. But as opposed to Ruiz Areola, I think you could actually run this back, right? Because it was just way too close to call, and like I said, they're at a standstill. I feel like who's next for Chisora? Who's next for Parker? Now there's rumors that you want Chisora versus Ruiz. I think that'd be a good fight. I think, it's a little bit tricky, but we'll see.
Would it be worth it, though? Because if you're Chisora, you're coming off of 2 losses.
Yeah, Yeah, right. And then I don't think you want to match Ruiz with a guy like Chisora who came off two losses, but maybe Ruiz Deontay is a little bit more um, marketable, right? It's also a really good fight.
Absolutely, 100%.
It's actually, yeah, it's absolutely a really good fight. And so, but like I said, right? I mean, for Parker, who does he fight next? For Chisora, who does he fight next? I think you have to like run it back to kind of see if there's a little bit more clarity in the second fight, but we'll see.
Absolutely. But for what it's worth, shouts to Joseph Parker for going into enemy territory and eking out the win against Derek Chisora. Now, whether we'll see these two again, that has yet to be known. But for now, we gotta enjoy the entertainment value that those two have brought us. I'm sure they got some bonuses for that.
It's a classic, man.
And you know, there was even a classic before that with Katie Taylor and Natasha Jonas,
Yeah,
almost in the same fashion.
right.
So yeah, so shout out to Matchroom there for giving us good entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're gonna call another timeout here. When we come back, we're gonna talk about one of the younger stars in the game having to pull out of one of his biggest tests due to some issues that I think affect more than just athletes around the world. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the No Decision podcast. Ryan Garcia, Ryan Garcia, Ryan Garcia. He was supposed to have a big test this summer against Javier Fortuna after coming off his spectacular win over Luke Campbell. But unfortunately, he has pulled out of the fight to deal with, by his words, mental health issues. Now, that is a very important, very sensitive topic when it comes to not just athletes, but also people. And, Joy, what I think a lot of us don't realize is that athletes are people too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I both know that, right? Because we're obviously covering the sport. And to some extent, we've played a lot of sports. So we understand some of the mental toll that it takes.
Right.
And we've met with, athletes that have gone further in their careers and what they go through on a daily basis.
Right.
But yeah, me personally, especially someone who kind of struggles with mental health at times, it's kind of like, hey, I think this is okay.
Right.
We get to see Ryan Garcia as this guy that's like punching at 300 miles an hour on the gram, knocking dudes out left and right, being so marketable. But we don't get to see what happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Right. And of course, it's not our place to speculate what happens, behind closed doors. But what we can do is support him in at least taking the time to at least get right, be okay, be happy with himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, for me, I think it's a well-deserved break. Everyone seems to be on board with it, whether it's his promoters, his team, his opponent, and hopefully we get to see him back in this calendar year.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I also love that there's a lot of fighters that, are backing him up. I think, especially like you said, right? A lot of athletes, athletes are people too. And especially in the world of boxing, right? Where, you're not supposed to show emotions that will make you seem weaker, right? But I think in this case, Garcia, like he was very brave in coming out and say like, I need to work on myself. I have mental health issues, and I don't think a lot of fighters would admit to having mental health issues because, like I said, this is a sport where you're not supposed to show any kind of emotions that would, of course, like people are so quick to judge, right? Especially against these fighters. And a lot of these fighters would probably get hit with the, man up, that condescending
man
line.
up,
Right.
that's weak,
right.
This, that, and the other,
Right. And so, exactly. And so like, I applaud, Ryan Garcia for stepping up and saying and admitting, that, that he needs to take time for himself as well. And like I said, right, especially against these fighters, these guys are put under tremendous amount of pressure. Maybe even for Ryan Garcia, because he's kind of this guy that's, kind of we're saying it might be the next golden boy. He's the next guy that will, bring in a lot of money to the sport. But yeah, props to him. I know that for sure. There's a lot of fighters out there that at times can't open up about how they feel, how they truly feel, because a lot of times, I mean, I hate to say it, a lot of times these fighters have to protect their image, right? And I think Mike Tyson is one of those guys that, I mean, there's a lot of fighters, right? But Mike Tyson at the end of his career kind of also admitted to a lot of things that he kept inside. And so I'm glad that Ryan Garcia is seeking help, and he's seeking time for himself. And so I applaud him, and hopefully he gets back into the ring. He'll be stronger and more happy.
Absolutely. And, I want to take this moment to, not only give ourselves or Ryan Garcia or any boxer trainer, fight fan, but really just anyone who is listening right now, and actually people in general, like, your mental health is important. Okay. Don't let people call you soft or whatever it may be, because, we're human beings. We're animate objects,
Right.
right? We can only take so much.
Right.
We're not machines. Sure, we can process a lot of information, but sometimes that processing can be really, really stressful, really hurtful at times.
Yeah.
So, you know, don't don't forget that there are people that care for you, that people that support you. And when there are times where you actually feel like you need help, access it.
Right.
There's no loss of credibility, no loss of, whatever, because you need help. It's like we're not meant to do things alone all the time.
Right.
So, seek your help, use your network, use your support system. Trust me, it'll pay dividends in the future. And now, actually, or at all times, basically. But on that note, we're going to take our last time out of the night. When we come back, we're going to talk about probably the biggest exhibition fight this summer. We'll be right back. Boxers, trainers, fight fans. This is the No Decision Podcast. Our last fight to talk about tonight: Floyd Mayweather, Logan Paul. It'll be the day after the Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos fight. So he'll be fighting on a Sunday in Miami against Logan Paul. Floyd Mayweather is. And he's been training, apparently. He shared a photo on his Instagram with his gloves and shorts from sparring covered in blood. And he has all kinds of intentions to destroy Logan. Well, Logan has all kinds of intentions to destroy Floyd. There are weight limitations. Logan can be no lower than 190 pounds.
Mhm.
Or, I mean, no bigger than 190 pounds. I'm sorry.
Right.
And Floyd can be no bigger than 160.
Mm.
So it's like a middleweight versus a cruiserweight.
Cruiser. Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't have any specifics on the rounds. I know it's going to be right after the big lightweight unification bout. But yeah, man, it's finally happening.
It's finally happening, right? Let me ask you this, Wes.
LGF, let's go Floyd.
Let me ask you this, Wes. Do you know what weight? Oh wait, no. Oh yeah, do you know what weight that Mayweather fought McGregor in?
I think it was 147.
147. Okay, I was about to ask. Do you think Floyd is gonna go up to 160? Do you think he feels comfortable? Do you think like he'll do that for fight plan? He'll be smart too, right? Because then he'll pack a little bit more mass.
Sure. I wouldn't also be surprised if he like came in at like 155.
Yeah.
And then went up to 160 for
the
fight night.
Right. Well, that's the thing, right? It's because I mean, I did see that video as well. I mean, I've seen like Floyd's Instagram recently, he looks like he walks around 135. So this is gonna be a massive weight gain if he's gonna go to 160. That's why I found it interesting. Maybe he's probably gonna. I thought he was gonna say maybe like 145, 150. That way, he doesn't really. I mean, not like he needs to stay sharp for this fight, but I mean, maybe he wants to put a little bit more mass because Logan is a pretty big guy, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, there was no way they were gonna get those two to fight in a negotiable weight class.
Oh no,
So
absolutely not.
of course, it was probably fair to have them fight at a limit that they know that their bodies can take.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
With Floyd having experience fighting in that division before,
right,
for a little bit, and then of course, for Logan, that's probably the lowest his body could take because he is naturally bigger than Floyd anyway.
I was about to say,
but that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Obviously.
Well, I was about to say, Floyd already has the advantage. Floyd has to go up in weight, whereas Logan has to go down. Right. That's a huge disadvantage. I mean, I don't know if Logan has ever fought in a 180. You said 180 or 190, right?
190 is the
190.
the
yeah.
limit.
I mean, I know he walks around 220, I think. And so that's a huge loss right there too. So I think already like they set that up to make sure that like of course Floyd is a smaller guy. We have to protect him. But I don't think he needs a lot of protecting. I think he'll take Logan.
Absolutely, and don't forget like Floyd is the boxer. Logan is the poser. And this is boxing.
Boxing, right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if, say, Floyd takes a tour here and tries to clean them both.
That's what I'm saying. Is I don't think Floyd needs to go to 160. I think he could just really just play around with Logan.
I wouldn't be surprised if he just comes in at 147.
I wouldn't be surprised either. And
then just try and cut off the ring and do all of that stuff.
You'll walk him down.
Showcase.
He'll walk him down.
Walk him down and actually play offense.
Right, exactly. Walk him like what he did to Mayweather, to McGregor. Fight, right? So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I think Logan's gonna get a massive boxing lesson. And so yeah, I can't wait for it. If I'm Logan Paul, like weigh in at 190, but eat as much as you can. Try to weigh 220 at the fight because, I mean, you want every chance you could get. That might not be healthy, but I mean, such is the boxing life.
I found this matchup really interesting too because Logan's the one with an actual loss on his record.
Yeah.
So by using numbers, you would think that Jake is in better form. But then again, Jake went off and fought basketball players and wrestlers. So
I mean,
I guess we're gonna have to wait.
I guess you could say Jake has a little bit more credibility, but I mean, like we said, I think the previous podcast. I mean, Jake Paul wants all the heat. Fight Fury. Not Tyson Fury, but his brother.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think we should put our focus on this first.
Yeah.
And I'm excited now. I am so stoked. I mean, yeah, that weekend's gonna be lit. I mean, Teofimo and Floyd on the same weekend.
Wait,
I'll take it.
Let me ask you this, Wes. Is this gonna be hosted by Triller?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Or I hope not. Because that would just be too much.
Has any Triller fight gone to distance yet? The only one is Tyson and Roy Jones, right?
Roy Jones.
But
I can't really think of anything else.
Right. It's okay. So.
But yeah, that is the end of our podcast. Before we close tonight, I did want to share a couple news stories that I've come across over the week. And we did take a week off, so we're actually picking up the pieces here. But we're gonna have an all Puerto Rican battle this summer with Edgar Berlanga, who just came off his win. He'll be facing the venerable Gabe Rosado.
Let's go,
So
Gabe.
that's gonna be fun. Uh, our guy Loma is coming back to fight Masayoshi Nakatani on June 26th. Now, if y'all don't remember, Lomachenko came off a big upset loss to Teofimo Lopez, while Masayoshi Nakatani scored a huge upset over Felix Verdejo.
Yep.
And lastly, not to kill the energy here, but I want to send my condolences or our condolences to the family of Rashid Al Swaisat,
Yes.
who died after being seriously injured in the World Youth Championships. Very young, only 18 years old. It's a reminder of how deadly this sport can be. And, for us as fans to just be able to sit here and watch it, it's really unimaginable on what, the two combatants have to go through in the ring for a certain amount of time. But rest in peace to Rashid Al Swaisat. Condolences to his family and to the Jordanian boxing team. But with that, we are closed now. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. But for what it's worth, we'll have a fresh set of rounds for you next week. But until then, I'm Wes Ibarra. He's Joy Villapando. Have a great night.